you are watching me read? That's a great question. I'd love to tell you by Elyse Myers. This, again, my name is Jenna LaMere, and this is me doing immediate reactions and commentary while I read the book aloud. And I'm reading the book aloud because I understand things better when I do it that way. If I just sit and read a book, I am 4 pages in without any comprehension, and I have just learned at like 50 years old that it takes me needing to feel like somebody is watching me or I'm reading to them so that I can be listening to the book through them. And that's how I understand, because of mirror neurons. Try saying mirror neuron 5 times fast. So I want to encourage you, in case the first one you're seeing. Right now we are on the chapter, I guess, section that's called How to Fold Hospital Corners in 10 Easy Steps. But I wanted to make sure that you know that to please buy the book and to listen to her audio if you want to listen to the book all the way through. This is not me being a professional reader. So if you don't like somebody that's like stopping in the middle and giving their own anecdotes, then you're going to hate this. And once again, as I've mentioned before, I don't think that hardly anyone's going to probably even see this, let alone get this far in it. So if you are, I would love for you to comment and say, still watching. Okay, here we go. How to fold hospital corners in 10 easy steps. So 7, we've got, it looks like maybe the pillowcases, or the pillows, I don't know, and then these are the pillowcases, and then all these different sheets, all the bedding here. Oh, here, it's I guessed without seeing. Number 1 is the bed frame here at the bottom. We've got then the mattress, the fitted sheet, flat sheet, duvet, large pillows, and decorative pillows. Okay, I get it. So let's talk first about the fitted sheet. And this is really funny that this is coming up right now because oh, maybe I mentioned before, I only do my washing of my bed once a month on the new moon, which I know some people think is really gross, and that's okay. But I was in new moon energy and washed and did my sheets just yesterday, and I realized just how particular I am on the way that I do it and the way that I fold things and let air up in and smooth it and everything. And my partner was trying to help me with it, and anyway, I was just trying to think like how neurotic I was probably seeming to him. But anyway, all right, here we go. Step 1, the fitted sheet. 1A, put a fitted sheet on the mattress. All right. 1B, if you skip this step, then I don't know what to tell you other than I think you need to evaluate some of your preferences, because who sleeps without a fitted sheet on their bed? That's true. You know what though? You're probably in the middle of doing laundry and you forgot to put your fitted sheet in the dryer, so it's drying right now. While you're waiting for it to dry, you can go to sleep. You're probably learning how to make your bed with hospital quarters because you've always wondered how people do that. So you finally decided enough is enough. 1C, me personally, I have some issues with fitted sheets, but I'll take those up with fitted sheets directly. It would be ridiculous for you to be present when I tell fitted sheets that their corners are being made way too shallow. 1D, fitted sheets always slip off the corner of my bed in the middle of the night when I can't put them back on the mattress. Oh, I hate that. And the same way as I would if I weren't in bed lying on top of the fitted sheet. I never remember to fix the corners until I'm laying in bed and the corners slip off in the middle of the night again and wake me up from a dream I really didn't want to end. I haven't been dreaming a lot lately and I miss dreaming very much. I am dreaming very much, so I'm doing enough dreaming for the both of us, Elyse. 1E, why do the corners always smack you in the face when they pop off the mattress? That's true. It feels personal somehow, and I know it isn't, but it doesn't mean it doesn't feel personal, just that it isn't personal. It would be pointless for you to be present while I told fitted sheets all of that. I'll save you time. Before we go to the next page, I have to also say something. There's one time that my guy and he helps me put my bedding together, and he was like picking up the, to put on a new pillowcase, and he just like dropped it on the floor. Now, for anyone that's gone this far and are hearing that, what happened when I just said that to you? Okay, so like he dropped a clean pillow sheet on the floor and then proceeded to just pick it up and start putting it on. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. It needs to be washed now. Like just one drop of a pillowcase on the floor, we're done. Which is funny that I can go for 30 days-ish without washing my stuff and having like slobber, sometimes makeup, because I don't have a process of putting on or removing makeup and everything. And who knows what else. Sometimes I eat in bed, maybe there's salsa, whatever. But one little teet, like 5-second rule with the pillowcase, and nope, with a hard popped P at the end. No. What do you guys think of that? Tell me in the comments. Okay, that was all step 1. Step 2, the flat sheet. Let's talk about this. 2A, lay the flat sheet on the bed so that it hangs evenly over each side. Flat sheet, top sheet. This sheet has many different names. Many, as in 2, different names. Whatever you call this sheet, the most important thing is that you aren't holding the sheet that is impossible to fold, aka the fitted sheet. 2B, I really hate using top sheets because I get suspiciously sweaty while I sleep. Same. Not as much as Patrick, though. So the last thing I'm thinking when I'm getting into bed is, I wish I had one more piece of material draped over me right now. When I think about it, the irrational dislike that I harbor for top sheets makes no sense at all, because I really love using heavy comforters, same, that feel like they're smothering me while I sleep, same. In fact, I'm going to tell you about mine when this is all done, but anyway. When I say smothering, I mean just a tiny bit, just a little smothering. Like I like to feel the weight of the lightly smothering comforter while surrounded by a wall of pillows. I keep my bedroom a cool 65 degrees and I sleep with the ceiling fan on high, as well as with a small fan on my nightstand that points directly toward my face all night. 2C. The whole fan situation is something I started as a kid because I needed white noise to be able to fall asleep. But now I feel like I cannot breathe without air being forced onto my face, into my face by this small but powerful fan. So yes, I get very sweaty while I sleep, but I guess I can't classify my sleep as suspiciously sweaty, can I? With all the light smothering and pillow walls. There's nothing suspicious about that sweat. Anyway, I avoid the top sheet when I can, but when folding hospital corners, you'll need it. Step 3, tucking and existential dread. 3A, tuck the sheets in at the foot of the bed, but leave the sides untucked. Boom. Sweep your hands and tuck it under the mattress so that the sheet is really nice and tight. The whole thing about hospital corners is that they look impossibly tight, like the bed was wrapped in paper or whatever wrapping it was wrapped in when the mattress was brand new. If you don't get the sheet tight enough, it's basically all a waste. 3B, not the effort that you put into learning how to fold hospital corners. That's not a waste. Energy spent learning something new is never a waste. It's valuable even when the end result isn't what you were hoping for. Didn't Thomas Edison say something like, I learned 100 different ways that light bulbs aren't made? I just looked it up, and while the general vibe is the same, the actual quote is pretty different. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. I was also missing 2 zeros in my original paraphrase of Edison's quote, which is kind of insulting to him if you think about it, but I'm not going to think about that, neither should you. I love her so much. 3C, it's kind of wild that the difference between the number 100 and 10,000 is both a single number, the number 0, but 2 of them, and also 9,900 numbers. I have to think about that. Yeah, that's definitely something I could waste some time thinking about. Would you be ashamed of me if I told you that I had to pull my calculator out to double check that 10,000 minus 100 is 9,900, just like I thought it was? Imagine how embarrassing it would be to get your math wrong on such a simple equation in a book that would be printed and live forever, longer than you and I will live. That would be so embarrassing, honestly. This book is going to outlive me. And then she has something scratched out, this next sentence. I'm suppressing thoughts about how long I might live and the fact that everyone dies at some point. So funny. And then step 4, how are you feeling? 4A, pick one of the corners at the foot of the bed to start with. 4B, is your jaw clenched right now? Unclench it. 4C, relax your shoulders too while you're at it. And 4D, when was the last time that you had a glass of water? Girl, you know me. Girl, you know me well. Ooh, 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 you know me well. 'Cause I'm drinking coffee and I shouldn't, 'cause it makes me too insane. And on the way up, I sat and I looked at this and I looked at my water and I thought to myself, I really should bring them both up because I need water, but my hands couldn't take both liquids upstairs by myself because my balance is fucked. And what is that? Proprioception, I think. So the coffee won out and the water's downstairs, even though my body wants the water and really hates that I'm drinking this now. But I'm addicted. I'm addicted, and Patrick and I get in arguments all over the time, all over the place, all the time over this because I say that coffee is the most addictive thing in the world. Because if you think about it, what is happening at every AA meeting? Coffee, everything. Even like spiritual retreats where people like are fasting for a day, like whatever. It's like, but what do you find when there is something? Coffee. And nobody can face that because they're so addicted to it that it would be just too hard to face, including me. But I'm not in denial about it. The difference is Patrick's in denial about it. He's like, I'm not addicted. It's like, okay, well then don't drink it. He's like, well, I could do that. Yeah, you could do it. Do it then. Do it. Prove it. He can't do it. Anyway. All right. Whatever. Okay. Step 5, locate all your rulers. 5A, hold the sheet about 12 inches from the corner. And then there's another thing here. I love the illustrations. 5B, do you have a ruler? If you don't, you might want to go find one. Not because you actually need it for this, but because I can never find my rulers when I need them. You know when I usually find all my rulers? When I have absolutely no need for them. I see my ruler right over there. And it's actually bigger than 12 inches. And it's kind of floppy. So what is that? It's not a pull out one, but it's also not a 12 incher. Why do I have that? Oh yeah, for art. But that's weird. What is it, an 18 inch? I don't know. Anyway, okay. 5C, it might be good to locate every ruler you own and decide on the permanent storage spot for them. You should also tell everyone that you live with where the rulers live, because when deciding on your ruler's new home, the deciding is only one part of it. If you don't tell anyone else about the ruler's change of address, then what was all this looking for, finding, and moving for anyway? Okay, I'm going to side note here. Well, wait, 5D. If you don't tell anyone about the ruler situation, someone might use your ruler and then put it in any old place when they're done. They'll have no idea where that ruler lives, or that its temporary home was replaced with a forever home the night its owner decided to learn how to make their bed the hospital way. God, this is so great. Oh, there's a 5E. Tell your housemates if you have to, because they deserve to know where the rulers live. You owe them that. And you definitely owe your rulers that. Those rulers rely on you and whoever you're about to text right now to return them when they get taken out and used. Imagine getting picked up for dinner and then your date just leaves you at the restaurant because they got the eating part out of the way. So there's no point in driving you back home now. You'll find your way home eventually, but it'll probably take you a while. 5F, at best, the situation would be very inconvenient for you. At worst, the worst case scenario would be very, 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 very bad. Mostly because you're not a ruler. So the metaphor stops working the moment that you start to really break it down. And then there's literally a ruler at dinner that says, please don't leave me at this restaurant. 5G, I find most metaphors work best when they feel right, regardless of whether they actually fit the point you're trying to make. Same. 5H, make sure you really communicate that whole thing, specifically all of it, when texting whoever you're texting about the rulers. 5I think communication is important. If your rulers could talk, they would say the same thing, but they cannot talk because they are rulers, and rulers don't talk. Asterisk. I can't say that word. In red, even. If your rulers are talking to you, I think you should tell someone. She's so funny. Okay, before we go on to the paper airplane fold part, I just have my brain bucket opened of ruler stories. So we're going to go with one here. So this is a family story is that when they, like my mom and dad and my older brother, when he was little before I was born, they were all going to be moving in or like looking at this house that they ended up living in that was haunted or whatever. And apparently my grandfather was the one with the yardstick. I guess this is a yardstick story. And they were just talking about him or something. And they were trying to find a yardstick downstairs at this house. And they wished that they had brought one, or that he was the only one that they knew that had a yardstick or something like this. And I think they were trying to like measure whether the curtains would fit or something. Anyway, so they're all just kind of standing there in this empty, echoey house. And then just all of a sudden they hear this weird noise, clop plump. That's exactly what it sounded like, clip plump. And they all kind of went like, what was that? What was that? And they all like, they're like, who is it? You know, who else is here? There was no one else there because there's like whatever. So they pull down and go up into the attic. And right there, and I guess they checked it out before too, but right there in the entire thing is empty, but right in the center of the attic is a yardstick. It's the only thing in there. It's almost as if it fell from the sky from my dead grandfather that they were talking about. Anyway, so this story has lived, and I just get goosebumps every time. Oh, Patrick's away today, so I'm kind of like extra scared. But anyway, I had to tell you that story. Here we go. Step 6, the paper airplane fold. 6A, see the corner of the top sheet you're holding in your hand, lay it on top of the mattress and make a crease at a 45-degree angle. Boop. By the way, no matter how much she's trying to do this, my brain, when there's lots of steps, even with chef's kissy kind of illustrations that are so good, I can't do it. I just cannot seem to remember things like this. It'll take me 30 or 40 times usually. But then the interesting thing is by the 30th or 40th time when I do conquer something that's been hard, I then can teach it like a master. And I'll bet, well, I don't want to speak for her, but my bet is she probably does that too. And that's why she finally conquered this herself to where she's like, you know what? I'm going to teach it. I'm going to teach it now because I am an expert. Thank you, Elyse. Okay, so here we go again. 6, I already told you. 6B. It should resemble the beginning of a paper airplane. If you have absolutely no idea how to make paper airplanes and you've never actually seen a paper airplane in real life, you do not want to ask me for instructions on how to make paper airplanes. I'm much better at hospital quarters than paper airplanes. I don't know if I've ever met anyone who is as bad as making paper airplanes as I am, which might be pretty surprising to anyone who's met me and has said, wow, that's really cool paper airplane tattoo on your arm. What does it mean? Oh yeah, I think I have seen that on her arm before. I think it's here, right? And then after someone asks me that question, I get a little weird and quiet because it's kind of a long story, but it's not sad. Usually long stories are sad. This is not that kind of story. I mean, the story isn't completely happy. There are definitely some parts in there, especially at the beginning, that might make you go, oh, that's kind of a bummer, but that's just the beginning. You have to keep listening for it all to make sense. 6C. That's the whole point of a story, isn't it? That there's a beginning and then there's also the entire rest of it. I don't think I would categorize the story of my paper airplane tattoo as anything but very good and won't make you sad after you hear it. I might ask you how much time you have before I start telling the story, to which you might reply, I actually don't have very much time. I just saw your tattoo and thought it was really cool, so I asked about it, but now I realize I have somewhere else to be somewhere else. Which, by the way, my tattoo, people think one is a Harry Potter thing, which it is not. Harry Potter has a line going down the middle. Or two, they think I'm in AA. And they start asking me if I know a Bill guy. Neither of those things are this. This is an alchemy tattoo that also has kind of a story, which I'm going to tell you right now. The smaller circle represents a never-ending void or nothingness. It represents nothingness from which we feel as if we come from, right? Then the square is sort of like, well, it can represent the seasons, it represents matter, it represents our human structured third dimensional self, our physicality, of which we are born from seemingly nothingness. Then we've got the triangle, which represents like the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or whatever you want to call it. But, or you could just, this is the spiritual aspect of us. I like to see it as a balance point of kind of like balancing good and evil and having the choice of validating all experiences being experienceable and then living through the center point. But anyway, and then finally at the end is a circle also, which is never-ending everythingness. So we have never-ending nothingness, and we have never-ending everythingness. And then we have the process of alchemy of going from our ego into our spiritual nature, turning like a caterpillar into a butterfly. And so this is like the Philosopher's Stone, and means also like quintessence. Anyway, so if you're going to get a tattoo, it may as well mean nothing and everything and literally everything in between. So this literally means everything. There's nothing that's not included in this, including her paper plane is in this. Whatever tattoo you have, part of this. It's in my tattoo. I'm wearing my nightgown still underneath there. Yeah, but as you can see, that is not an easy tell someone at a convenience store thing. So I'll just say, yeah, Harry Potter, even though I don't know the whole Harry Potter things. Okay, here we go. Where was I? Okay, 6D. It doesn't seem to matter how many times I've changed my paper airplane technique. They like to nosedive every single time. You should ask my brother Kyle to teach you how to make paper airplanes. Kyle makes the best paper airplanes. He used to stand at the top of my grandma's staircase and throw his paper airplanes off the top step, and I swear one flew out of the front door and landed perfectly on the lawn of my neighbor across the street. You should ask him about it sometime. I have to say too, my dad was the best paper airplane maker. He was so precise and would just sit at the kitchen table and fold them like an architect. And then my dad's, no offense, Elyse, but my dad's went so freaking far. Like the way it caught air, it's like, it's that of storybooks. I think it went into other dimensions. My dad was the most excellent paper plane maker ever. 6E, he won't tell you about the carpet at my grandma's house, which was the most curious shade of marigold my eyes ever had seen. Kind of like this book, Elyse? Like this book? Maybe. She hasn't. Wouldn't it be funny if then she just says, like this book? 6F, Kyle didn't appreciate the carpet like I did. The color of the carpet made spills completely undetectable. I'm serious. Do you know how much cereal milk I've spilled on that carpet? I never considered until right this very minute that all my spilled cereal milk must have dried and smelled terrible. That had to have happened eventually, right? Ugh. 6G, my grandma doesn't live in the house with marigold carpet anymore, but Kyle still makes very good paper airplanes. Okay, one thing about my dad, he was a compulsive liar. Okay, so you never really knew what was true or not. But then he would actually have unbelievable things happen to him all the time that were in front of my eyes too. So finding that truth was a little difficult. And since we're talking about weird colored carpets, the brain bucket opened for this one. So my dad lived for a time at apartment complex called Crystal Springs Apartments in Milwaukee, Oregon. And he told me that the people there said to him that he was living in Tanya Harding's old. Wait, didn't we bring Tanya Harding up in the last one too? God, there's a lot of Tanya. I really don't really know her. She wouldn't know who I am or anything, other than through acquaintances or whatever nowadays. But this is just funny. There's two stories about her in this. But anyway, so he said that the people there, that his carpet in the apartments was pink upon Tanya's request or something. And that he was living in hers, and that he was getting a discount on his rent because when he went to move in, they said, do you want to change it? He's like, no, I'm fine with it or something. I don't know if that is true. That just seems like a really bizarre thing to lie about. But then it seems like, I guess, why does it seem reasonable in my mind that Tanya Harding put her foot down and was like, no, I have to have pink carpet. What? I don't know. That's kind of a funny story. Anyway. And I really don't want to get into it with her about that. It's like, fine, dude. If whether that's true or not, like, girl, you're good. Okay. All right. We're still on the hospital corners here. Step 7, fake it till you make it. 7A, tuck the excess sheet under the mattress with your free hand. Tuck it tightly so you don't get clean lines. I'm not kidding when I say this is all a waste if those lines aren't clean and if the sheet isn't tight. My dad also made really good. You make good hospital corners if you're in the military, and he was. And you make good hospital corners if you're anal retentive like my mom was. So there was a tight ship ran in our house when it came to all things bedding. I, however, never learned how to do anything. I was just freezing like a deer in headlights. 7B, when someone walks past your bed, do you want them to think that is a very regular and normal bed? Or do you want them to think, if this person has the time to fold hospital corners, they must have their life together and absolutely nothing is wrong at all? 7C, I don't have my life together right now, but maybe I can trick myself into thinking I do if my bed looks like someone whose life is fully together. I'm a big fan of fake it till you make it, so much so that sometimes I lie to myself and then I believe my own lies and then forget I was ever sad in the first place, like my dad. Like my dad. 7D, this is not healthy, and I know that, but something being healthy and something being effective are two completely different things. 7E, sometimes a person, me, just needs something to work so that I can hang on until it's time to crawl back into bed and enjoy my tightly tucked hospital corners that give the perception that everything is totally and completely fine. Nothing is wrong and everything is going to be okay. Step 8. Everything's going to be okay. 8A, tuck the paper airplane piece under the mattress. 8B, everything really is going to be okay. That isn't a lie. Isn't it weird? I just brought up lies and now she's talking about lies. There's so many freaking synchronicities that have happened in this book so far. Do you know what? I just kind of banged did you hear that? I banged the book and I felt bad for the book. I felt like, oh, sweetie, I just kind of like hurt you. I know we've got a lot of anthropomorphizing of things, but I don't want to hurt the book. I feel like I want to rub the pain out of the book. Okay, here we go. Lie. Some things don't feel like they're going to be anything except for not okay. Some days feel long. so much longer than days used to feel. The very long days end up passing, and eventually days that didn't feel long enough to be a day at all end up passing too. 8C, at some point you might even find yourself saying, hey, this is the day, the short kind. But everything becoming okay happens slowly. I don't usually notice when I first start feeling better, and I can't pinpoint the exact moment I feel so much better that I barely remember feeling anything except so much better. Really? That's interesting. I do. Of course, I also make charts at the end of my day when I journal, and I rate every day as being a 3D, 4D, or 5D day. And a lot of times when I'm like looking like I have a sentence for the future, I'll say stuff like, I hope I can feel better tomorrow. And so then I very easily see whether I do feel better. So I'm constantly, well, I'm also a feelings coach. So that would make sense that that would be something I'm probably on more than other people. 8D. As many times as unfoldable fitted sheets need to be washed so that they can get back to slipping off mattress corners, and as many times as top sheets get creased like poorly constructed paper airplanes, and mattresses get stripped and redressed, and rulers get moved, and cereal milk gets hidden in marigold carpet, that is as many times as you might feel yourself slide between not okay and so much better. Step 9. I'm really sorry I walked in on you having sex. Oh no, I'm going to have a story with this one, you guys. Maybe not, we'll see. 9A. Tuck any excess sheet tightly underneath the mattress. 9B. I cannot stress enough how important the tightness of your sheet is to the success of this whole thing. Everything should look sterile, as though no one has ever used the bed you're about to sleep in, even though your bed has been used very much. It has been used so many times in so many different ways. And if you're folding hospital corners in a hotel room like I just did before I sat down to write this, those beds have been used in more ways than I ever wanted to know beds could be used. 9C, hotel beds are used in ways I don't think are super appropriate to mention right now, given the fact that this is a list of instructions. 9D, they're used in ways that make me regret accidentally walking in on when performing a mandatory wellness check for a guest that hadn't left their hotel room in 3 days. As it turned out, he was completely fine and aggressively unclothed with a stranger they met in the hotel lobby, so they couldn't hear me calling their phone or the loud knocks at the door. 9E, but that's the beauty of hospital corners. They help you forget. This bed is brand new, and the folds in the sheet are so crispy and the tucks are so perfectly tight that the memory of anyone existing in this bed before you has been tightly tucked right out of it. Step 10. This step doesn't exist. There is no step number 10, but letting a list of instructions end at step number 9 would be absurd. If you give yourself a little more time, not okay might turn into so much better without you realizing it's even happening. And look at how cute the little bed is all done and made there. Okay, so speaking of walking in on schmecks. I was doing it with some guy. And in the middle of doing it, we kind of heard some noises. And we were kind of in this like basement area, and he lived way out in the country. And whatever position, I can't remember I was in, but thank God he just kind of held me where I was. He's like, I need you to stay right here. I need you to not turn around and not look at anything. Will you do that? And I'm like, okay. He gets up mid-coit. I don't know if it's coital or coitus. Gets up and then like handles something that still involves some squeaking. And I finally look down and there's like a trail of blood. Turns out there's like a dead, like I think it was a cat with a dead mouse, and the mouse is like trailing with blood and everything. Maybe it was a full-on bunny. No, it was a bunny. It wasn't a mouse. I'm sorry, it was a bunny. There was a dead bunny, or dead or dying bloody bunny in the bedroom mid-coit. Which then, of course, makes me think of, what is it? Fatal Attraction. Yeah, where she boils the bunny. Anyway, you should not have dead bunnies as part of any coit. That's the book I need to write. Dead bunny coit. Okay. All right, now we're going into a whole nother chapter. So thank you for following along on this one. This one might have been my favorite so far. And in between now and the next one I do, I'm going to get some water.